Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a truly transformative topic: how artificial intelligence is really starting to power global connectivity and education.
It's a fascinating area.
Absolutely. We're unpacking source material you've provided us, looking at this, well, profound shift from the traditional classroom, the one with four walls, to something that's becoming genuinely borderless, a new kind of learning environment.
Yeah, it's a fundamental change, really. We're moving beyond just using existing tools like video calls towards creating a truly intelligent, globally connected educational ecosystem.
Exactly. So our mission, our goal in this deep dive is to understand how AI is actually making this possible. What are the potential benefits? And they seem incredible, but also critically, what are the big challenges? The hurdles we absolutely have to navigate to make this work equitably and, well, safely.
hmm And we'll need to explore things like, what really makes this AI connectivity different from just a standard video call? What specific technologies are driving this?
Right.
What are the concrete benefits, the impacts for students and for teachers? And then, those major hurdles we need to be aware of. And maybe touch on the future vision, too.
Okay, great. Let's jump right in then. First question. When we talk about AI-powered global connectivity, how is that fundamentally different from just using the tools we already have? Like, video conferencing. We've been doing Zoom calls across the globe for years, haven't we?
That's the crucial starting point, and the source material really emphasizes this distinction. It's the difference between using what they call a communication pipe, just connecting point A to point B and building an intelligent, supportive ecosystem.
Oh, ecosystem. What does that mean in practice?
Well, a video call connects you visually, audibly, sure, but it doesn't inherently solve the real barriers that prevent genuine international collaboration in, say, a classroom setting.
What kind of barriers are we talking about? Logistics,
Regular. Exactly. Language is probably the biggest one, right? But also things like cultural context, different curriculum structures, maybe even just the sheer logistical nightmare for a teacher trying to find a relevant partner class and then coordinating everything across time zones.
Yeah.
A simple video call doesn't help with any of that.
Ah, okay. So the AI isn't just the connection itself. It's kind of layered around the connection. It's doing more.
Precisely. The source material describes AI acting almost like an intelligent switchboard for global education. It actively tackles those fundamental barriers we just mentioned.
How so?
Well, first, it helps overcome language differences. We'll definitely get more into that. Second, it uses data to find genuinely relevant and purposeful connections. It's not just chance encounters. It's about matching for specific educational goals. And third, it provides tools and support within the platform itself to make the whole collaborative experience more meaningful and more effective.
Connection with intelligence and purpose. I like that framing.
That's the core idea. It's not just linking devices. It's enabling meaningful interaction.
Okay, that distinction makes total sense. It's like the difference between just having a phone line and having a smart assistant who helps you find the right person and make sure you can actually understand each other.
Good analogy.
So let's talk about that first point, language. The source really emphasizes breaking down language barriers as maybe the most critical enabler for this whole borderless classroom idea. How exactly is AI achieving this? It sounds almost like science fiction.
It does feel a bit like that, yeah. But the technology is here now. It relies on advanced neural machine translation, NMT.
Okay.
Think of it as AI that's been trained on just massive amounts of language data. So it doesn't just swap words. It understands context, nuance, sentence structure.
Yeah.
Much more sophisticated than older translation tools.
And this allows for
Instant and surprisingly accurate translation of both spoken language and written text. And crucially, in real time during a live interaction.
real time. Wow.
Yeah. The source gives this great example. Imagine a student in Gatineau, Quebec, speaking French during a live video session. And instantly, a student in Seoul, South Korea, hears that contribution in Korean. At the same time, there's a running transcript appearing on screen, showing both the original French and the Korean translation.
That's a genuine game changer right there. Removes a massive barrier instantly.
Absolutely. This AI-powered universal translator, it really does feel like that sometimes it removes perhaps the single biggest point of friction in trying to connect classrooms globally. It means students can engage with complex ideas. They can form genuine human connections directly.
Yeah.
Their current language level isn't the roadblock anymore.
They can focus on the ideas on the other person, not just struggling with vocabulary or grammar.
Exactly. It unlocks communication about substance.
Okay, that's incredibly powerful for the interaction itself. But, even before you get to that interaction, finding the right international partner class. For a specific project or learning goal, that sounds incredibly difficult for a teacher who's already swamped. How does AI help with that matchmaking piece?
Yeah, this is another area where AI steps in as a really vital assistant. The source calls it a sophisticated educational matchmaker.
Matchmaker, okay.
Think about it for a teacher to manually research schools across the globe, compare their curricula, figure out age group suitability, languages spoken, and then juggle time zones to find a good fit. It's almost impossible to do that effectively on any kind of scale.
Right, it'd be a full-time job just finding the partners.
Exactly. So these AI platforms, they analyze detailed criteria. The teacher, or maybe the school, inputs what they need. Things like specific curriculum points they want to cover, the learning objectives for a unit, the student's age range, the languages they speak, and crucially, time zone compatibility for any live sessions.
So it crunches all that data.
And based on that analysis, it suggests ideal partner classrooms. These could be anywhere in the world, but they specifically meet those educational criteria the teacher laid out.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure. The source mentions a Canadian civics class studying, say, parliamentary systems. Instead of just hoping to maybe find a teacher on Twitter or something who's willing to connect, the AI could precisely match them with classes in places like the UK or Australia or India, places with similar but distinct parliamentary traditions.
So the Canadian students could talk directly to students living under those very systems they're studying, comparing notes in real time.
Precisely. It moves the whole process away from just, chance encounters online towards genuinely purposeful partnerships driven by specific learning outcomes. And importantly, it saves teachers an immense amount of time and effort while ensuring that collaboration actually supports the curriculum.
That makes so much sense. And that capability, it seems like it could unlock something else too. What about bringing outside expertise into the classroom? Can AI help connect students with, say, subject matter experts from anywhere in the world?
Yes, absolutely. This is another really powerful application that the source material highlights, and it's one that truly democratizes access to specialized knowledge. Imagine kids in a remote area getting access to world-class experts.
How would that work? Is it like a directory?
Kind of, but smarter. The concept is an AI-powered platform that curates and makes searchable a global database of subject matter experts.
And who are these experts? Scientists? Artists?
All of the above. Scientists, artists, historians, engineers, authors, professionals, and academics who are willing to share their knowledge and experience with students through virtual visits.
So a teacher could search for someone specific.
Yeah. Or they could input their lesson topic. Let's say it's marine biology. The AI could then search this global database and find potential matches. Maybe it's a researcher working on coral reefs in the Pacific, or perhaps a marine biologist studying Arctic ecosystems,
And the AI helps with the scheduling, too, because time zones.
It does. It helps match the teacher's specific lesson needs with the right expert profile. And it can assist in navigating those tricky scheduling challenges across different time zones to actually facilitate the virtual visit.
The examples in the source really bring this home.
They do. Like a student in a small town in Saskatchewan getting a real-time lesson on astrophysics from a researcher, maybe someone at the European Space Agency.
Wow.
Or a class in a big city learning about sustainable agriculture directly from a farmer who's actually doing it in rural Kenya. It completely bypasses geographical limitations.
That level of access to real-world, diverse expertise, it's incredible. It's something most classrooms just couldn't dream of achieving on their own.
Right.
Okay, but let's talk about the interaction itself again. When you bring together students or students experts from potentially wildly different backgrounds and cultures, how does AI help ensure those exchanges are actually productive and respectful? How do you avoid missteps or misunderstandings?
That's a really critical layer of support that AI can provide. The source describes AI's role here as being a facilitator. It's not just about making the connection happen, it's about helping the interaction actually go well.
Okay, how does it facilitate, though? Does it, jump into the chat?
Not directly like that, usually. It's more about providing tools around the conversation. Yeah. This could include things like pre-prepared conversation prompts, maybe structured activity templates that are specifically designed to encourage empathy and understanding between students from different cultural contexts.
So it helps set the stage for positive interaction.
Exactly. And AI can also help curate shared learning materials. So it might suggest resources or background readings that are culturally relevant and appropriate for everyone involved in the exchange, not just one side.
Helping find common ground.
Yes. And The source also mentions the use of more advanced tools like sentiment analysis and content moderation.
Okay, what do those do in this context?
Well, these AI capabilities can operate in the background. They might automatically flag potential misunderstandings based on phrasing or detect tones that could be interpreted negatively across cultures. They could even identify potentially inappropriate language in real time.
So it's like an early warning system for the teacher.
Precisely. It doesn't replace the teacher's crucial role in guiding the discussion. Absolutely not. But it gives them an intelligent alert, allowing them to quickly step in, clarify things, maybe reframe a question, and generally guide the discussion in a more positive and productive direction.
That seems pretty essential, actually, for managing complex group dynamics, especially when you add the cross-cultural layer. Okay, building on that, what about actual collaborative work? Can students from different countries really work together effectively on shared projects using these AI tools, despite the distance and language barriers?
Absolutely. This is where that borderless classroom concept really starts to feel tangible. In practice, AI-driven platforms are creating these shared digital workspaces that are specifically designed for global collaboration.
So like Google Docs or something, but maybe more integrated.
Yeah, think along those lines, but potentially more feature-rich for education. Things like shared virtual whiteboards, where students from different locations can brainstorm, draw, write together. Collaborative documents, yes, where they can co-author reports or stories. Maybe even shared code editors for computer science projects.
And the key feature is the translation again.
That's the magic ingredient. Integrated real-time translation within these collaborative tools.
So even if they're typing comments or writing code or adding to a diagram, the language barrier is just gone.
Largely, yes. Students could be working together on designing, say, a sustainable city model, or co-writing a historical analysis from different perspectives, or analyzing a shared scientific data set. The tools handle the language translation mostly in the background. They can contribute in their own language and see contributions from their peers in other countries, almost as if they were all in the same physical room.
Wow. Overcoming both language and distance simultaneously to actually build something together.
That's the goal. True collaboration, unhindered.
Okay, so we've really unpacked the how here. We've got AI as the translator, the matchmaker, the expert connector, the facilitator, and the enabler of collaborative workspaces. Let's step back. What's the so what? What are the ultimate big picture educational benefits for the students, for the educators? Why pursue this kind of globally connected learning environment?
Well, the benefits, as the source material lays them out, are really quite profound. They go way beyond just traditional academic gains.
Okay.
Firstly, and maybe most importantly, it's a powerful engine for developing global citizenship and cross-cultural competence. That direct, authentic interaction with peers from really different backgrounds, it's incredibly effective at breaking down stereotypes. It fosters empathy.
Yeah.
It helps build a much more nuanced, respectful understanding of diverse global perspectives.
Something that feels more critical now than ever, really.
I agree, absolutely. Second, it provides authentic language learning opportunities. Think about students learning a second language, which is so relevant in places like Canada, being officially bilingual.
Right.
Practicing conversation, collaborating on projects with native speakers in a real, meaningful context. But maybe a lower stakes environment than, say, traveling abroad. That's invaluable. These AI-connected classrooms can create that kind of immersive environment virtually.
Nothing beats real practice with real people.
True. Third, it also deepens subject matter understanding. Imagine studying something like climate change or global history or even literature.
Yeah.
The learning gains incredible depth when students can share insights, compare experiences, debate perspectives directly with peers who are living through those issues differently, or who bring completely different cultural lenses to the same historical event or piece of text.
Getting those multiple vantage points must make the learning so much richer, less monolithic.
Exactly. Richer is a good word.
Yeah.
And fourth, importantly, this kind of connectivity can help level the educational playing field by providing access to those world-class experts we talked about and these diverse collaborative opportunities regardless of a student's physical location. It can help bridge the gap for students in remote areas or perhaps in under-resourced schools. It promotes educational equity.
So it democratizes access not just to experts, but to certain kinds of learning experiences too.
Yes. And finally, just participating in these kinds of projects inherently builds critical 21st century skills, the kind employers are looking for.
Like what specifically?
Things like cross-cultural communication, obviously.
Yeah.
digital collaboration tools, adaptability, dealing with different time zones, different ways of working, navigating ambiguity when you encounter different perspectives, and complex problem solving, often within a global context.
These are definitely the skills that prepare students for the actual world they're going to live and work in.
Okay, this potential sounds incredibly exciting, almost transformative, really. But
Teacher.
there's always a but, isn't there? As with any major tech shift, there must be significant challenges. What are the big hurdles, the major roadblocks, standing in the way of making this a widespread global reality?
Yeah, this is a really critical part of the picture, and the source material is quite clear-eyed about these challenges. They absolutely need to be addressed. Perhaps the most fundamental one is the persistent digital divide.
Just the basic issue of access to tech and internet.
Exactly. For this kind of global connectivity to work equitably, all participants, students, teachers, schools need reliable, high-speed internet access. They need appropriate hardware, decent computers, webcams, microphones, and that's simply not the reality for everyone across the globe.
Or even within countries. Absolutely. Relying heavily on these tools could, paradoxically, end up worsening existing inequalities, not just between wealthy and developing nations, but also the gaps between urban centers and rural or remote areas within the same country.
So the very thing designed to connect could actually deepen divisions if we don't solve that access piece first.
It's a major risk. Another huge challenge revolves around cross-border data privacy and security.
Data. Always complex.
Especially here. Think about it. Student data, their conversations, their work, it's constantly crossing international borders in this model. That means it falls under the jurisdiction of multiple and often conflicting privacy laws.
Right. Different countries have very different rules about how student data can be collected, stored, used, shared.
They do. The source mentions examples like Canada's PIPEDA, Europe's GDPR, and others. Just navigating these different legal frameworks, ensuring the absolute security of sensitive student data, making sure it's handled ethically across all these borders. It's an incredibly complex legal and logistical puzzle. It requires really careful policy development and robust technical solutions.
Definitely not trivial. Okay, so we have infrastructure barriers with the digital divide and complex legal ethical barriers around data. What about the limitations of the AI technology itself and just the practical realities teachers still have to deal with?
Those are also key challenges highlighted. We have to be realistic about the accuracy and nuanced limitations of current AI translation, for instance.
It's good, but not perfect.
Exactly. While it's powerful and getting better all the time, AI can still miss subtle cultural nuances. It might mistranslate idioms or fail to grasp deeply contextual meanings. And that could potentially lead to significant misunderstandings, especially in sensitive or complex discussions. It's a fantastic tool, a great facilitator, but it's not a perfect replacement for human understanding or interpretation.
So the teacher's role in guiding and clarifying remains absolutely crucial.
Indispensable. Then there are major concerns around safety, vetting, and moderation. Building trust in these global connections requires really rigorous processes. How do you properly vet partner classrooms? How do you screen guest experts to ensure student safety online? You need robust protocols.
And the AI moderation needs to be effective, but also fair.
Yes, and carefully designed. Which leads to the point about cultural sensitivity. The AI tools themselves, the translation algorithms, the content filters, even the interface design, they absolutely must be developed with extreme care to avoid misrepresenting cultures. Or, worse, inadvertently perpetuating stereotypes through their design choices or the data they're trained on.
That's a huge responsibility for the developers building these platforms.
It really is. And finally, even with all this amazing AI assistance, we can't forget the very real logistical hurdles that remain for teachers on the ground.
Like what?
Like coordinating projects across different school curricula that might not align perfectly, managing wildly different academic calendars, holidays, exam periods, and still dealing with those vast time zone differences for any kind of live interaction. AI can help find the partners and translate, yes, but managing the actual collaborative project still takes significant teacher time, planning, and skill.
Okay, so it's a picture of, well, incredible potential, definitely, enabled by some truly powerful AI tools, but it's weighed against some very significant practical, ethical, and infrastructural challenges that need serious attention.
That sums it up well. Potential and pitfalls, side by side.
So, to wrap up this deep dive then, pulling it all together, what's the overall vision? What's the big picture that the source material paints for the future of AI in creating this truly borderless, interconnected learning environment?
The vision, as it's synthesized in the source material, is that AI is really uniquely positioned to, well, dissolve so many of the barriers, physical, linguistic, logistical, that have traditionally confined learning to the four walls of a classroom. It's about creating what they call a new era of global connectivity in education.
A fundamentally different kind of learning space, enabled by tech.
Precisely. The vision sees AI continuing to evolve and improve in those key roles we discussed, becoming an even better universal translator, a more intelligent matchmaker connecting classrooms based on really deep pedagogical criteria, and a more nuanced cultural facilitator, providing even smarter tools and support for truly meaningful interactions.
And the ultimate outcome of achieving that vision.
The outcome is enabling students everywhere, regardless of where they live, to participate in meaningful collaborative learning projects on a scale that was just impossible before. This directly supports the development of those essential 21st century skills we talked about. And critically, it fosters that deep sense of global citizenship, that cross-cultural understanding which the source highlights as being so vital for our collective future.
So it's not just about learning about the world anymore, it's about learning with the world directly.
That's a great way to put it, learning with the world.
So the core goal, then, it sounds like it's less about the technology itself. The AI is the means, not the end, and much more about what that technology enables in terms of human connection, empathy, and shared understanding.
Exactly. The source material is really emphatic on this point. While the technology is the crucial enabler, actually realizing this vision requires massive, dedicated global effort. We have to bridge that digital divide. We have to navigate the complexities of data privacy ethically. We must ensure cultural sensitivity is baked into the design of these tools from the start. And we absolutely have to provide teachers with the training and support they need to facilitate these new kinds of learning experiences effectively.
It's a big undertaking.
It is. But the core goal, and the source puts this beautifully, I think, is not merely to connect devices, but to connect minds and build genuine human understanding.
Wow. That's a powerful articulation of the potential, isn't it? The future of education maybe isn't just about delivering content more efficiently using tech, but about fundamentally expanding the learning environment itself. AI seems to offer this extraordinary opportunity to transform the entire world into potentially a single, vibrant, interconnected classroom.
Where a student anywhere, truly anywhere, from a huge, bustling city to a tiny remote village, could potentially learn alongside and directly from peers and experts located across continents and cultures.
So let's bring it back to you listening right now. What does all this mean for you? Consider the possibilities this really opens up. What would it genuinely mean for a student in your own community, maybe like that student we imagined in GetNo, to learn directly from someone who is experiencing the very issue they're studying, let's say the impacts of climate change, but from the other side of the planet?
How might that direct connection, facilitated by AI, fundamentally shift their perspective, their sense of empathy, maybe even the skills they develop to tackle such global challenges in the future?
It really has the potential to be truly transformative, doesn't it? Not just for their academic learning, but for shaping them as informed, engaged global citizens.
I certainly think so. The potential is immense.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into how AI is starting to connect global classrooms.
We hope this exploration has given you a valuable, concise, but also in-depth understanding of the sources you provided on this topic.
And if you want more explorations like this one, where we dive into how technology and artificial intelligence are shaping our world in so many ways, please be sure to subscribe to our channel, Tech AI and Beyond. Thanks for listening.